What up, YouTube? This is Steven Talbert. This is Tabby Rex. So today we're going to talk about PlayStation 4 or 5. So pretty much what we're going to do is talk about, kind of give a timeline of the PlayStation 4.5, PlayStation 4K, and then talk about the latest report that came out today. So pretty much what we know about the PlayStation 4.5, the PlayStation 4K, is that it came to our attention. It came to the public's attention around the Game Developers Conference. During the Game Developer Conference, multiple gaming news websites, IGN, Kotaku, Polygon, kind of started reporting on this, that they heard kind of rumors that Sony is in the works of developing another PlayStation, kind of like a stopgap between PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5. And so they're kind of making this somewhat new system in a sense. It's pretty much the same type of PlayStation 4 with maybe higher, maybe a little bit higher graphics. And also, honestly, the biggest thing was that it can run 4K. Many sources kind of reached out during this time in terms of that. I heard there was a rumor during GDC that one of the journalists overheard two big developers kind of talking about the PlayStation, what Sony is doing right now. So it kind of somewhat confirmed it, although a lot of people kind of speculate. There's a lot of interesting questions about PlayStation 4.5, like in terms of, was it more, did the publishers come to Sony and say, we need better graphics, we need to make it more easier to go between the computer and the ever evolving computer and the PlayStation 4. Was it, did the publishers pressure, or was it just Sony wanting to do it? And I think it definitely is a combination of both. I think because one of the biggest elephants in the room for PlayStation 4.5 and 4K is the launch of the PlayStation VR. And what does the PlayStation VR need a better machine? And I think possibly it does. I think we'll probably go more into that later in this video. And so that's one of the questions. Those are two of the questions. And I think another one is just, does it also, lengthen the time? Also, there's a ton of interesting questions. So, and I think, and also, does it diverge from two networks? Are there going to be PlayStation 4.5 specific games, and are they going to be PlayStation 4 games? And so, I think this latest report, kind of helps clarify some of the nitty gritty of that, some of the stuff that we haven't heard about. So pretty much what got reported, there was a report done by Giant Bomb, which is a fairly respected source, and it was done by Austin Walker, and he basically reported that the PlayStation project is codename Project Neo. That is the PlayStation 4.5's name, and then it also has they kind of also, with this report, they also kind of gave the specs that it has a better CPU. I think the CPU goes from like a 1.6 gigahertz to 2.1, if I'm not mistaken, and with similar kind of CPU settings. And then it has a way better GPU, and then it has a pretty bigger memory. I think it's only about 30. It's probably, I think, 40 to 50 gigs bigger, I think, which is real nice. I think, honestly, kind of what it does, and kind of in the nutshell, in terms of what it does, is the graphics will run really well. It'd be better. Of course, with 4K and stuff like that, it's going to make it a lot better. So the graphics are going to be really good. It can now do 4K video and stuff like that. And then also, the frame rates will be a lot better. One of the biggest complaints with probably the PlayStation 4, I think one of the biggest things I keep hearing over and over again, is just how the frame rates have been really unstable with the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. And so one of the ways that probably definitely helping the frame rate out is giving the PlayStation bigger capabilities. I think that's one way of solving the frame rate issues with a lot of games. I think if you look at games like Bloodborne, there's a lot of different games. Like, even if you listen on the Xbox side, like the Gears of War game, the single player even uses like 30 frames while the multiplayer uses 60. And so for big type shooters, I think it's going to be much appreciated. and that's that's real exciting. I think that's good for games overall. I think the biggest thing that came out of this though is the fact that the games are not going to be separated. Like a lot of people have speculated, will there be PlayStation 4.5 games and PlayStation? I think what basically they said is they wanted to keep the user groups kind of together, and most of the developers can now decide if they want to create like a Neo version, which is a very up-res type version. And so, so basically, I think in most of these, if you have a PlayStation 4.5 or a PlayStation Neo, whatever they want to call it, it will have like the ability to go into this Neo mode for the game. And so it's going to be high-resed up and all that, and it hits, did all that stuff. But the games, Sony definitely has asked for all the specs to be very much similar. Like they're not going to be too way different, and so which is nice because that means they're not going to separate the base. So that means you could still, if you bought the PlayStation 4 at the beginning, you won't feel like you're gypped at all. Like because it means like honestly, it gives, if you want to upgrade, you can. If you don't want to upgrade, you don't have to, because you can still run the same games at the end of the life cycle, which is kind of the biggest problems with this. Is like if the PlayStation 4 if there was separation, it definitely would feel like a negative to all these big PlayStation fans who originally bought it at the when it got launched. And so, but it is the opposite though, I think, and which is that's really good for your hardcore PlayStation fans. And so exciting to see that being done. I think kind of going back to that kind of the elephant room. Why does this need to happen? I think it's because of PlayStation VR. I think when they, at the end of the day, looked at PlayStation VR, they said we need more. They were looking at Oculus, they were looking at Vive, and they decided we need, the only way our PlayStation is, our VR device is very limited based on the PlayStation, what the specs of the PlayStation 4. And one of the easiest ways of doing it is making the PlayStation really overpowered in a lot of different aspects that could help in terms of overall quality for the VR headsets. And I think that's one way of looking at it, and I think which is really good. So honestly, and it will be interesting to see if that's a requirement for PlayStation VR. I don't think it will be. I think you could still probably buy a VR headset and still have only the normal base model for a PlayStation 4. But we'll have to see in kinds of regards of that. We'll never know. So it's exciting. It's interesting to see what will happen. Another interesting thing about this PlayStation 4, this PlayStation Neo. They were talking about Neo mode, which I forgot to mention, was the fact that also games that are currently done right now will be given the ability, if they want to do a Neo mode, they can, which is real exciting. So you probably will see games like Destiny and The Division also probably do a Neo mode, make it more high fidelity, which is going to be beautiful for those games. And maybe special games like Fallout 4 may get a Neo mode or something like that. Although it'll be interesting to see if developers will actually develop that or not. And also an interesting thing that I have come to, like, this is one thing I really do wonder about, is will developers use this or not? Like, will this be if the games are really special, they'll use a Neo mode, or will it just be like, oh, we have it? And so it'll be interesting because a lot of these games are so far developed out. Like, it takes 3 or 4 years to develop a game. And so like they're not initially, they don't usually initially have these specs already. So it'll be interesting to see how quickly we'll see that happen. So guys, what do you guys think about this? Do you like the PlayStation 4.5? Do you think it takes away from the base? Do you want to get a PlayStation 4.5? I'm on the fence of it. I probably won't get a PlayStation 4.5. I'm one of these guys who just likes to buy their game system initially and then let it go its course. I'm not one of those people who buy multiple game systems in that generation. So, guys, what do you think about this? Do you like it? Do you not? Please like this video if you like it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, because I really want to make really good content talking about the news, video game news, talking about all sorts of things, entertainment, even hip hop. Just kind of want to let you know about that. Thank you for watching this, and I hope you have a great day, and bye.